sun rises over ancient Rome, the city awakens with the sound of marching soldiers, their heavy boots echoing through the cobblestone streets. These soldiers, disciplined and strong, wore more than just clothes. Their attire was a powerful symbol of the might of the Roman Empire. The clanking of their sandals, known as caligae, would become the soundtrack of their conquests, their triumphs, and their legacy. But what exactly did these soldiers wear? Today, we dive deep into the fascinating history of Roman soldier attire, exploring how it reflected not only their strength, but also the Roman way of life. Roman soldiers, known as legionnaires, were the backbone of the Roman military machine. Their uniforms were practical, durable, and uniquely suited to their demanding roles. The basic attire of a soldier started with the woolen tunic, a simple garment that was both functional and comfortable. Typically, this tunic was red or white. The red tunic was a symbol of Mars, the god of war, while white was reserved for ceremonies and special occasions. But the tunic was just the beginning. Over it, soldiers wore armor to protect themselves in battle, designed to keep them safe while allowing for quick movements. This was crucial, as battles could be long and brutal. Their attire was a constant reminder of their discipline and unwavering loyalty to the empire. One of the most iconic pieces of Roman military gear were their caligae, the heavy-soled sandals worn by the legionnaires. These sandals weren't just for comfort, they were meticulously designed for endurance. The caligae had thick leather soles, studded with iron nails to provide traction and stability, allowing soldiers to march for miles, even in the most difficult terrains. The design was also clever in its simplicity. The open-toe structure allowed for ventilation, making them ideal for the warm climate of many Roman territories. However, it wasn't just about practicality. The caligae were a symbol of Roman engineering and ingenuity. As soldiers marched, their footsteps echoed across the empire, a reminder of the vast military reach of Rome. In colder regions, like Britain, soldiers would pair their caligae with udons, woolen socks designed to keep their feet warm and dry during long marches in freezing weather. These socks were found in archaeological digs, confirming the adaptability of Roman soldiers to varying climates. Protection in battle was critical. Early Roman soldiers wore basic armor made of bronze or stiffened linen, but over time, the Romans developed superior armor designs that would go down in history. The most famous of these was the lorica segmentata, the segmented metal armor that covered the torso. This armor provided flexibility, allowing soldiers to move easily while still offering excellent protection against swords and arrows. The design was so effective that it became the hallmark of the Roman military for centuries. Other types of armor included lorica hamata, a form of chainmail that offered protection but with more flexibility. This was often worn by auxiliary soldiers, who were sometimes lighter equipped and used for specific roles, such as archery or cavalry. Roman helmets were another crucial part of the armor. Helmets like the culus and Montefortino types were designed not only for protection, but also for intimidation, with their distinct crest designs and cheek guards that covered the soldier's face. The tunic, though simple, held great significance. A red tunic was the standard for soldiers in battle, symbolizing the fiery spirit of war and the divine favor of Mars. But officers and higher-ranking soldiers often wore more elaborate tunics, sometimes in white or crimson, a color that indicated their elevated status and command over the troops. The tunic was typically made from wool or linen, depending on the climate. The soldiers wore this garment under their armor and over their undergarments, and it was secured at the waist with a leather belt known as the cingulum, which also served as a place to hang their weapons. Roman soldiers were stationed across a vast empire, from the deserts of Egypt to the cold, rainy climates of Britannia. Their gear had to adapt to these harsh and varied environments. In cold regions, soldiers wore thick woolen cloaks like the sagum, which shielded them from biting winds and snow. These cloaks were practical and crucial for maintaining warmth during long nights in the field. In wetter climates, soldiers often wore the paenula, a hooded cloak made from heavy wool or linen designed to protect them from the elements. It was a versatile garment that could also be worn during heavy rain or snowstorms, keeping the soldier dry and ready for action. Unlike the civilians of Rome, who wore togas and brightly colored tunics for status and occasion, the clothing of Roman soldiers was designed with function in mind. The military tunic was shorter and looser than civilian clothing. Unlike the civilians of Rome, who wore togas and brightly colored tunics for status and occasion, the clothing of Roman soldiers was designed with function in mind. The military tunic was shorter and looser than civilian clothing, allowing for greater movement during battle. It also came in specific colors to reflect rank and purpose: red for war, white for ceremonies. The distinction between military and civilian clothing was more than just visual. It reinforced the soldier's place in Roman society. While civilians adorned themselves with elegant and elaborate garments, the soldiers' uniforms spoke of their readiness for battle and their duty to the empire. Life in the Roman army wasn't all about war. Soldiers spent much of their time in camp, performing duties like repairing their armor and maintaining their weapons. Around the campfires, they would sharpen their swords and prepare for the next campaign. These soldiers weren't just warriors. They were also engineers, blacksmiths, and laborers. They carried essential personal items in a loculus, a small bag that contained their belongings. It was an essential part of their gear, showcasing the soldier's independence and his preparedness for life in the field. The clothing and gear of Roman soldiers were more than just practical. They were a reflection of the Roman Empire's military might. From the distinctive caligae to the famous lorica segmentata, every piece of their attire told a story of power, adaptability, and discipline. Roman soldiers weren't just warriors in battle. They were symbols of an empire that conquered the known world and changed history forever.